Assalamu alaikum dear students. Welcome back to our English video session. Let's learn English through our online video class. Now let's get started with the topic. Today is a very important topic we are going to learn. That is figurative language. Figurative language, it is nothing but literary devices. So what do you mean by figurative language or literary devices? So figurative language or literary devices which is used in poetry, it is otherwise called as figures of speech. So why do we add this figures of speech in the poem? In order to make the poem very interesting, to give a special effect to the poem, we are using figures of speech. So figures of speech, figurative language, literary devices which conveys the same meaning. So a figure of speech, it gives a special effect in a distinctive way. So figurative language, literary devices, figures of speech are all which conveys the same meaning. So which is used in poetry especially to convey a special effect to the poem. So in this session we are going to learn important figures of speech: simile, metaphor, personification, oxymoron, alliteration, assonance, transferred epithet, synecdoche, irony, imagery. So we are going to learn important figures of speeches in this session: simile, metaphor, personification, oxymoron, alliteration, assonance, transferred epithet, synecdoche, irony, imagery. And coming to the next important figures of speech: hyperbole, metonymy, repetition, rhetorical question, onomatopoeia, antithesis, anaphora. So what are the figures of speech? Hyperbole, metonymy, repetition, rhetorical question, onomatopoeia, antithesis, anaphora. So we are going to learn 17 important figures of speeches which is very essential to be learned, to be mastered as a student of English literature. Let's begin the session. First one is simile. What is simile? Simile is nothing but comparing two things of different nature. When you compare two things of different nature using words such as like or as, then it is simile. So, example, he ran like a cat lightly and quietly. So, the person is compared to a cat using the word like. So, it is a simile. So, what I said, simile is a comparison of two different things. Example, his face was like a thunder cloud. She sang like a bird. The dress was as white as snow. She is as strong as an ox. She is like a wet blanket. In all these examples, one could watch the words like or as. So, to repeat, simile is comparison of two different things or comparison of things of different nature. So if you are comparing two things of different nature and when it is introduced by the words such as like or as, then it is simile. So in the sentence two things will be compared and the two things will be of different nature and like or as will be there. Next, coming to metaphor. Metaphor is comparing two things of different nature, but the metaphor which is not introduced by the words such as like or as. So it is a condensed form of simile. Example, he was a statue waiting to hear the news. She was a mother hen trying to take care of everyone around her. So in all these sentences, you could not see like or as, but there will be comparison of two different things. Let's see some of the examples. He is a real tiger. So when it is said he is like a real tiger, then it is a simile. He is a real tiger, it is a metaphor. Like or as will not be there in metaphor. She is an angel. The sand was hot griddle under my feet. The road was a ribbon of moonlight. Your eyes are an ocean I could swim in. So eyes are compared to ocean, but the words like or as, which is not used, it is a implied form of simile. It is a condensed form of simile. So what is metaphor? Comparing two things of different nature, but it is not introduced by the words such as like or as. So simile and metaphor, what is the difference? Simile is comparison of two things and it is introduced by the words such as like or as. Metaphor is comparing two things of different nature. Next is personification. Personification is nothing but giving life to inanimate objects. So, to be very simple, the writer uses personification to give human qualities to objects or animals. So, objects here considered to be inanimate things. Example, my car drank the gasoline in one gulp. So here car is personified as human beings. The car is given the human qualities. Next, the cat laughed. The newspaper headline glared at me. So here the human qualities are given to animals or objects. Let us see few examples. Gentle waves crept up the beach, whispering quietly to the sand. Computer going to sleep. So how the computer will sleep? So human qualities are given to inanimate objects. The sun beat mercilessly down. The book begged to be opened. So book is personified, the sun is personified, computer is personified. The breeze whistled as it glided between the trees. So the breeze, which is personified as a human being, the branches of the trees waved a greeting to the weary travelers. So here the branches of the trees which are considered to be a human being. So it is personified. So in all these examples, one could see the inanimate objects or the animals will be given human qualities. Then it is called as personification. That is giving life to inanimate objects, which is called as personification. Next is alliteration. I hope you would be familiar with alliteration. What is alliteration? Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound. So what is consonant sounds? Leaving the vowel sounds A, E, I, O, U, the remaining things are consonant sounds. Example, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. See this line? The consonant P is repeated in the initial word. So P is the alliterated word. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. S is repeated. So it is the alliterated word. Come and clean the chaos in your closet. C is repeated. The big bad bear scared all the baby bunnies by the bushes. B is repeated. Shut the shutters before the banging sound makes you shudder. S is repeated. Go and gather the green leaves on the grass. G is repeated. So alliteration is the repetition of the consonant sound in words. So what are consonant sounds? Leaving the vowel sounds A, E, I, O, U. The other sounds are considered to be consonant sounds. P, B, T, K. So these are called as consonant sounds. So here consonant sounds are focused. Let's see few examples. 6 small sausages smeared with sauce. S is repeated. Little light. L. Big brown boots. Slippery Sam the snake slithered silently through the snow. 40 beefy buffalo. B sound is repeated. Sitting in the swamp. The wind whistled as it wound between the trees. W is repeated. So all these sentences, the consonant sounds are repeated in the initial place. So these are called as alliteration. Alliteration is nothing but the repetition of consonant sounds in the initial position of the word. Now let us learn assonance. Assonance is just the opposite of alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds, whereas assonance is nothing but the repetition of vowel sounds in between the consonants. Example, clap your hands and stamp your feet. So A, that is the vowel sound is repeated in between the consonants. So that is called as assonance. Try to light the fire. Try, I sound. Try, light, I sound, fire. So you should remember that the vowel sounds will be repeated between the consonants. So then it is called as assonance. It beats as it sweeps, as it cleans. So E cleans. So vowel sounds will be repeated. Don't get confused. So assonance is nothing but the repetition of vowel sounds, not the vowels alone, vowel sounds. On a proud round cloud in white high nigh. So in between you can notice the O-I, that is the vowel sounds are repeated. Fire at the private eye, hired to pry in my business. So you have to pronounce and see whether the vowel sounds are there. So it beats as it sweeps, as it cleans. I must confess that in my quest I felt depressed and restless. Confess, quest, felt, depressed, restless. So in between the sounds are repeated. Hear the mellow wedding bells by Edgar Allan. Here, ear, mellow, sound is repeated. So assonance is nothing but the repetition of vowel sound in between the consonants. So alliteration is a repetition of consonant sound in the initial position of the word. Let us see a few examples. 3 long I sounds. See, full fathom, fight thy father lies. Full, you, fathom, fight. Father lies. Bright shining light, bright I sound. Shining light. Sheep need feet E sound. All the day wind blows low with mellower tone. School is just way too cool. Feet need weak, day shape wake. E sound, a sound. So it's a repetition of vowel sound in between the words. That is consonants. So alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds in the initial position of the word, whereas assonant sounds, that is vowel sounds, will be repeated in between the words. So you should take it into account only the vowel sounds, and that is A, E, I, O, U. So which refers to assonance. Next let us learn onomatopoeia. So what is onomatopoeia? It's nothing but which imitates the sound, the word which represents the sound. Example, big bang, boom, tap, crunch, tick tock. So these are the sounds. Next, hiss, crash, splash, buzz, zoom, click, clack, drip, crack, quack, caw, croak, hoot, squeak, buzz. So the words which imitates the sound. So representation of the sounds, which is called as onomatopoeia. So what is onomatopoeia? It's nothing but which is the representation of the sounds. Next we are going to learn imagery. So what is imagery? When a writer, he wants to invoke the 5 senses. That is, when he describes something, we have to imagine that particular situation or particular objects. That is called as images. Example, the smell reminded him of rotting tomatoes. So you have to imagine of the tomatoes, rotting tomatoes. The fence was uneven like baby's teeth. The fence and baby's teeth you have to imagine. That is called imagery, the concept. So why the imagery is used? In order to make the description more interesting. Examples, her mind was an eagle. So you should think of the picture of an eagle. So eagle is an imagery. I will fight but I won't surrender. So fight here, feelings and ideas. You have to imagine. So I like flowers. So you have to imagine flowers. The flowers are dancing in the breeze. So the movement of the flowers, which is also imagery. Shape poems, that is visual. Hiss, the sound, it is also images. So what are the things you have to remember? So when he invokes the five senses, to be very clear, so when the sentence is used, you have to see the images in the sentence. Next, coming to anaphora. Anaphora is the repetition of first part of the sentences. Why anaphora is used? In order to create a poetic effect to the poem. Example, every day, every night, in every way, I am getting better and better. So the word every is repeated in the initial part of the sentence and throughout the sentence. My life is my purpose, my life is my goal, my life is my inspiration. My life is repeated in the sentence. So it is an anaphora. So what is anaphora? It is the repetition of the first part of the sentence. So this is an oldest literary device, and this device which is used to create the poetic effect to the poem. What is anaphora? It is the repetition of the first part of the sentence in order to create an artistic effect, and it is an oldest literary device and it is not used most commonly nowadays. Coming to the next figure of speech, oxymoron. It's a very important figure of speech. It consists of two opposite terms. When there are two opposite terms, then it is called as oxymoron. A peaceful war. So peaceful and war, two words are opposite in nature. Then it is an oxymoron. When there are two words which are opposite in nature, then it is called as oxymoron. A generous cheapskate, dark sunshine. So these are opposite words. Tragic comedy. So tragedy and comedy. So two opposite words. Virtual reality. Definite maybe. Unbiased opinion. So when two words which are contradictory to each other, that is two opposite words which is called as oxymoron. Love and hate. So love and hate. What is the opposite of love? Hate. So when two opposite words are there, then it is called as oxymoron. Love-hate relationship. Another example, loud silence. So what is the opposite of loud? Silence. Beautiful monster. Next, coming to hyperbole. Hyperbole is a statement which is used to exaggerate something. That is when you are speaking high of something. I have told you a million times. Nobody can say anything million times. So it is exaggerating. The million times which is exaggerating. Coming to the next example, the wolf was 100 feet high. So 100 feet high is an exaggerated sentence. So my backpack weighs a ton. So a backpack refers to package, the baggage which weighs a ton, which is exaggerating. Next, coming to metonymy, it is nothing but a change of name. To be very simple, substituting one word for another. The crown for king. So the crown refers to king. You must address the chair. So chair here refers to the chairperson. From the cradle to the grave, life is a struggle. So life here refers to cradle to the grave. So when you are substituting one word for another, then it is called metonymy. So a change of name. It's a figure of speech in which there is a change of name. Next example, it is the rope for the criminal. So rope for criminal here refers to death. So what is the other way of saying death? Rope for the criminal. So hanging with the rope for the effect. Substituting one word for another word, which is called as metonymy. Feathers in my hair. Applause. Feathers in my hair refers to the rich person. Applause here refers to famous. So a substitution for one word to other word, which is called as metonymy. Next figure of speech is synecdoche or synecdoche, when part of something is used to represent the whole. So you'll be very clear when you see the example. Do you like my new wheels? So wheels here represent the car. So when the part of something is used to refer the whole, then it is called synecdoche. 50 heads of cattle. So here head which is used to represent the whole animal. So the part which is replaced by the whole, or the whole is replaced by the part. So what is synecdoche? Synecdoche is nothing but when the part which is replaced by the whole, or the whole is replaced by the part. That is vice versa may happen. That is called synecdoche. So let us see some of the examples here. I have 4 mouths to feed at home. Here 4 mouths literally means people. So mouths are the parts of the people. So for people they are using mouths. The strings were praised for the excellent performance. The strings here represents the parts of violin. Check out my new wheels. So wheels again it represents the parts of the car. So it's a figure of speech when the part is represented as a whole, or the whole is represented as a part. So what is the difference between metonymy and synecdoche? So metonymy, it's a figure of speech where completely it's a substitute for another word. That is a new word which is used for a particular word. The White House here represents president. So the White House, it denotes president. Throne here represents the absolute power. So metonymy is nothing but it's a substitute for a new word which is called metonymy. Whereas synecdoche is nothing but part is represented as a whole. Next we shall pass on to transferred epithet. So what is an epithet? Epithet is a word or a phrase which describes something. That is, it is an adjective. So transferred epithet is nothing but transferring of the adjective from one person, that is from one noun to another noun. Examples: she was so worried about her son that she spent several sleepless nights. So the night it's not sleepless. Sleepless night which refers to the person who spent it. So she which has been transferred to sleepless nights. Again the restless night, the night was not restless, the person spent a restless night. So it is a transfer from one noun to another noun. So transfer of adjective or a word from one noun to another noun is called transferred epithet. He has had a very happy morning. The morning was not happy, but the person had a happy morning. So he which is transformed to happy morning. So it is called transferred epithet. So there is a transfer of adjective or a phrase from one noun to another noun. Some of the examples are careless match. The match was not careless. A scornful eye. The weary road. Wide-eyed amazement. So the road was not tired. The eye was not scornful. So all these examples which denotes the transferred epithet. I admit it was a fun day. So the day was not fun, but the girls experienced a fun day. So there is a shift, that is a transfer from one person to the another noun. That is called transferred epithet. Next we shall move on to repetition and refrain. Repetition is the repeating of certain words or phrases. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. Certain words or phrases which is repeated. Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Water, water which is repeated. So certain words or phrases which is repeated, then it is called as repetition. Next coming to refrain. So what is a refrain? Have you heard of this word refrain? Repetition is certain words will be repeated. Refrain is the sentence, that is, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So which the word, phrase or the sentence will be repeated after every stanza. So in a poem, a sentence, certain lines, phrases which will be repeated after every stanza. So a phrase, line or a group of lines that is repeated throughout the poem, usually after every stanza. So if there are 5 stanzas, the particular line will be repeated at the end of every stanza. Then it is called as refrain. So we shall see one example. That is, the woods so lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So the miles to go before I sleep, which is repeated in every stanza, it will be repeated. Then it is called as refrain. So repetition, certain words or phrases which will be repeated among the lines, whereas refrain, this particular line will be repeated after every stanza. Next we shall discuss the figure of speech, zoomorphism. When something is represented in animal forms, then it is called as zoomorphism. Example, like a huge python winding round and round. This line is taken from the poem Are Catched in a Tree, written by Torudat. Here python is a snake and the creeper which is compared to the python. So it is represented in animal form, so it is called as zoomorphism. Next is apostrophe. It is a special form of personification. So what is personification? Giving life to inanimate objects. So let us see some of the examples. O liberty, O judgment, Milton, O wild west wind. So apostrophe is always denoted by an exclamatory mark. So apostrophe is nothing but a special form of personification. O liberty, O judgment, Milton, O wild west wind. So this is a special form of personification. So personification is giving life to inanimate objects. So what is apostrophe? Apostrophe is a special form of personification and it is denoted by an exclamatory mark. Next is antithesis. When two contrasting ideas are presented in a sentence, then it is called as antithesis. So when two opposite ideas or contrasting ideas are given in a sentence, then it is called as antithesis. So it is usually used in a statement or a broad idea. So what is antithesis? When two contrasting ideas or two opposite ideas which is presented in a sentence, it is called as antithesis. Some of the examples: man proposes, God disposes. Proposes, disposes, two opposite ideas. Not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. Less, more. To err is human, to forgive divine. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Speech is silver, silence is golden. So, less, more, human, divine, every, few, silver, golden. So, two contrasting or two opposite ideas are expressed in a sentence, then it is called as antithesis. So, you might get confused with antithesis and oxymoron. So oxymoron is a special form of antithesis. So what are the examples? Man proposes, God disposes. Not that I love Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. To err is human, to forgive divine. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Speech is silver, silence is golden. So all these sentences, there are two contrasting ideas. Next, coming to the example of oxymoron: cunningly simple, kind, cruelty, faithful, unfaithful, falsely true. So double opposite words are there. So then it is called as oxymoron. So these are the examples of oxymoron: kind, cruelty. So when two words occur together in contrast, then it is called as oxymoron. Two contrasting ideas in a sentence, then it is called as antithesis. So cunningly simple. So cunning is different, simple is different. So two opposite words, oxymoron. Kind, cruelty. Kind is different, cruel is different. Kind, cruelty. So it is oxymoron. Faithful, unfaithful. So extremely opposite. These are the examples for oxymoron. So to conclude, dear students, today we have learnt important figures of speech. I hope this session would have been an informative session for you. Until we meet in the next session, stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you, dear students.